Hey guys, welcome to Coaching with Chris. I am excited today because I have my good friend Shay with me. But also, look, if I need your help, if you're thinking about something that you got great value out of today, please share it with your friends, other originators across the country. I don't care who they work for. Maybe it's even a realtor, but share. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple. Of course, we've got this link provided for you. If I can make it easier, I'll also take your feedback. So I need your help on that. Make sure you help me. Anyways, let me tell you a little bit about Shayla before we bring her on. The first time I met Shayla was, I would say, I was in this crisis of thinking about quitting in mortgage. And I didn't really meet her. I listened to her on stage. I think she just had her child. She's walking through this journey, and I'm like, yeah, I want that. Like, how do I get this? How do I get this plan? I joined this coaching group. Eventually, she becomes my coach. And this whole birth of Windsor was at the same time that Shayla was coaching me, and we were walking through this. And I always tease her that because I feel like she's a feely good coach, and she goes, "Well, Chris, you need a little feely good," and she really helped me through this whole through transition in the very beginning before Windsor was even born. And I've watched her grow her career. Her story is amazing. How she started and then grew and grew and grew. This lady she outworks me. She out hustles me. She's smarter than me, and that's why it was such an honor to have her part of my life for all of these years, and especially during that time where Windsor was getting born. So Shay, good morning to you.
Good morning. I'm so happy to be with you. Chris, you look good. You have reversed aged. I mean, like your
Oh,
trim, you're
that's what
glowing.
shots do. I think they just like pokes. They say, Chris, let me just poke you and it's going to be better.
Are you getting the shots in your face? Because
Uh, Felice has set a couple appointments for me where I've had these shots in my face, and I've left every time, and I say, I am freaking not going back. That hurt. And but anyways, here I am. I did go back, and now I don't want to do it again.
you know what's funny is that I've been really on this whole thing about being on fire. Because in this industry, I think so often we have put our identity around our results. And so for like 2 years, what is it, 2.5 years that we're going on, it's really depressing if we are living in the gap, meaning we are thinking about our ideal life or our ideal number of closings or our ideal team size, income, whatever. And we're looking at where we are to where our ideal is, and it's a gap. And it can make us feel like I'm not good enough, I'm not doing enough, whatever the case is. And so I'm like, that's not what's going to get it done. That's not what's going to make us feel powerful and excited and attractive and influential. That's just not it. So it has to be you're somebody that is on fire. And you can see immediately when somebody's on fire. There's this clarity in their eyes, there's this energy, there's this just this feeling like this person knows where they're going, what they want, and what they're up to. And I've known you a long time. I would say, Chris, you're somebody that has probably been on fire for maybe 90% of all the years I've met you. And that is tremendous. And it's good to know that you're a normal human and that 10% you're really screwed up.
Or I hide it well.
No, I think it's bullshit. I don't think we actually hide it well. I think we can tell. There's times I've been around you where you've just been, and like you said, you were in a crisis. I don't know when I met you, but you were in that place of like confusion or boredom or plateau or but anyway, the reason I said you look so good is you really, I can tell you're on fire from the minute I saw you. And it's not the shots in your face. And
Well, you look amazing today.
Thank you.
I don't know if this is purple. Is this your new color wheel?
This is dark blue. This is dark blue.
It's dark blue. All right. Well, I got
Yeah.
a bag camera on my side.
I'm like, I barely got my hair kind of dry. It's 9 a.m. on the West Coast. So, here we are.
It's perfect. So, I mean, for everybody that doesn't know, Shayla, like run us through a little bit of your journey,
Okay.
and then, just so they can get to know you a little bit, because I think your story is so cool. Uh, you have an amazing husband, two awesome daughters, and that little story of like your journey through mortgage, I think is important for everybody to hear.
Okay, my journey through mortgage. I was like, how far back do you want to go, Chris? Because you know me, there's like
Well, I
jumping
like
off.
the math, drop out of college part 2. I mean, like, we can go back a ways, but, you go where you wanna go.
Yeah, I'll tell you anything. You want my bra size? You want my, account number? Like, what you
Oh
want
my
my
gosh.
net worth? What do you want? Um, so, I'm live in Reno, Nevada, born and raised here. Mom and dad, neither of them have a college degree, both very, very hard workers, started a drywall business when they were 19, 20 years old. Worked that business together while raising three kids, end up getting divorced at about when I was about 10 or 11. My stepdad comes in the picture, who's also in construction, and was an immigrant to this country, and also had been a veteran.
Mm,
Um, and so I was really blessed in that I got to have different influences in my life, but the common thread was work your ass off.
mm,
Like, you want to get lucky, work hard.
mm,
Take ownership, don't make excuses, don't be a victim, like figure it out. And I think that's just been a common thread through everything I've done, and it's kept me really empowered, and I'm grateful for that. So I go to in high school, I get straight A's, not because I'm the smartest, but because I'm really competitive. And I don't know if you remember this, but like there was a moment where they started putting grades up on the wall in the class. And, as soon as it was posted and it was on the wall, and you and I share this competitive gene, it was
mhm.
like, okay, well, then I just have to be number one and I'll do whatever it takes to get there. And so, I mean, all of my AP classes, I had like literally 4 feet of note cards and I memorized. I like literally remember nothing, Chris, nothing. Like people ask me about governmental stuff and history and all. I'm like, I took all those classes, but I remember zero. Um, so I did all that so that I could get into a good college, so that I could get a good career, so that I could attract a great mate, so that I'd have a happy life somewhere down the road, because I was told this is the way to be
The
happy,
chase.
successful, whatever. Yes. Um, well, that wasn't my story actually. So I end up getting a scholarship to go to college. I'm the oldest. I'm the most responsible. And blah blah blah. And literally within like 2 or 3 months, I'm going, this is not my place. I don't relate to the people that are around me. They are fucking off. Like they want to go to a cake party every day. They're trying to delay the amount of time before they get going in their life. And I've always just had this intensity about me. And this is where you and I connected immediately. Like you've got this fire and this intensity, Chris. I could see it in your eyes, but it's just in your like this desire to go do something and live a big life and create stuff. So college was just the wrong place for me. And I got involved in network marketing. I answered an ad in the newspaper and they said, well, you can be your own boss. And they actually put 1099 with a dollar sign on the ad. I thought it was making $1,099 a month, which to me, I was like, huge. So I quickly realized that no, this is a commission only entrepreneurial venture where you're going to put up your credit card for a couple $1,000s of weight loss products that you're then going to have to sell to your friends. And there was something about that was exciting to me,
Mhm.
because I then had control of my life. It was like a creative endeavor. I got to like make labels with my name on it and put it on the back of the package. And and then I started going to meetings and I started like, recruiting people. But the interesting thing about getting into network marketing, getting into mortgage, all the different things that we may get into is that I was not naturally gifted to do those things. Sales was not where you would say Shayla should go, except for the fact that I'm competitive, right? I,
Mm.
I wanted to win the number one raffle ticket sales in gymnastics, the number one wrapping paper sales at school, whatever. But the reality was I was not, I'm an introvert. and I'm a high D personality. So if early on in my development, I didn't know how to get people to like me or trust me. Like, Chris, you've had this charm from day one. I don't got it. Like I'm intense, intimidating. So I get in sales and I suck. And I literally remember like walking into the locker room at the university and going, okay, what am I going to say? How am I going to go talk to a stranger? How am I going to give them my sample? And oh, by the way, that's kind of odd, right? Like, hey, are you feeling a little fat? Like, don't say that. Um,
Right.
but anyway, it was the first real courageous thing that I did in my life because I did opposite of what everybody expected me to do, which is
Mm.
that you've got straight A's, you've got a degree, you'd be crazy to give that up, a scholarship to go do a pyramid deal. Like, what are you doing? Um, but there's a rebellious part of me that is like, I'm so committed to my intuition and to chasing this bigger life and to the growth and all those things that I moved to Chicago. I dumped my high school boyfriend, which was like the love of my life. Like we were just, but he started questioning me, like, really, you're going to go do one of those things? He grew up and his parents were pretty wealthy. So I'm like, screw you, dude. Like, I've got to go out and create this for myself.
Yeah.
And so it was courageous to dump Tyler. It was courageous to drop out of college. It was courageous to move across the country. And I cut my parents off financially because they're like, okay, you're going to drop out of college. Like, good luck. You're supporting yourself. So anyway, that's what I did pre-mortgage. And I did that for 3 or 4 years. I lived in the bathroom at one of my offices for a while. I lived on an air mattress in a one-bedroom apartment with like 3 or 4 other people. I mean, I would go out at night and do illegal activities, which was put flyers on cars in the apartment complexes to like try to get people to join my pyramid deal or buy my weight loss products. Um, I was just really like going for it and carving my own path at a young age. But I was also broke. And I also felt that I was telling a story
Hmm.
because the coaching in that model was act as if, dress the part, look the part, tell this story. But here I was living on an air mattress and literally budgeting to see if I could afford birth control. And so the mortgage industry came around for me because I met somebody in Indianapolis who was like, I'm telling you, you're made for this. And I was like, yeah, whatever. Um, and fortunately, he introduced me to a mentor of his, which was a very successful female in our industry. She worked in wholesale. I'm in Indianapolis. I'm 22 years old. And I see her and she's a normal chick. She's wearing jeans and a leather jacket. She's driving a minivan. She had 4 kids. She earned like 500 grand a year. And I thought, okay, I want to be like her. I want to be
Mm.
real. I want to be raw. I want to be meaningful. And I want to make a lot of money.
Mhm.
So I get a mortgage. So anyway, that's the, you didn't ask for that, but I was like, I'm just going to give it to you. But
Yeah, I love it.
I get in the business, Chris, and then the first 6 years, I don't have a good mentor. I don't have a good manager. I have a rate sheet and a phone, and I just go out and start hustling and trying to say, like, I'll talk to anybody. I call my friends to ask for their parents' phone numbers. I, did more illegal activities and putting flyers in people's mailboxes until I found out you're not allowed to do that. Um, and I was successful because damn it, I'm going to figure this out one way or the other.
Mhm.
Um, I also had no backup plan. I mean, now I have no college degree. Now I've got no like real resume. I've got $1,000 to my name and a $600 car payment,
Mhm.
and I'm living with my mom. And so um, I went out and just figured out, made it happen. But there came a point where I was stressed all the time. I'm
Yeah.
afraid about where's my next deal going to come from. I'm a control freak on every single loan. I'm putting in 12 to 15 hours a day. I'm going to the doctor because the stress has gotten so high that I'm like, I don't know what to do with myself. Um, and I was also frustrated because I felt stuck. Like, and I knew that I didn't want to live this life for a long time. Like we can all do short-term sacrifices, right? We can all be in
Sure.
survival mode. We can be in that growth mode and obsessed mode. but it better be explainable and temporary. And
Mm,
it, for me, had gone from explainable and temporary to like 4 years of this way of being. And to me, that was enough. Like I needed to find a way. And at the time, Chris, there was not interviews like this and mentors and coaches like you and YouTube channels. And, I wouldn't even think to go look for that kind of help. I just always thought I just got to work harder. I got to figure it out. Um, so it was after that 6 years that I ended up finding coaching and the same program that you and I met each other in. And I met new mentors and I met people that I was like, wait a minute, how they don't work on the weekends? Like, wait a minute, you're making $1 million a year. I,
mhm,
and for me, I have to conceive it. I have to see it to believe it. And then once I see it, I'm like, oh, I can go create that. Like if you can do
yeah,
it, I can do it. Cause I'll just work my ass off until I figure it out, even though I know I'm not capable yet and I'm not confident in how it's going to work. I have the faith that my hard work and my ability to learn will get me there. And so then, that's when things really took off. And I was about 28 years old because I just gotten married. And I was making like 300-400 grand a year. And then all of a sudden I started, doing all the things that you probably coach and teach on this call. And if we want to get into tactics, we can, and we should. But I started being organized and prepared and focused, and also believing that if he could do it, I could do it. And I stopped doing all the distractive stuff because up until this point in mortgage, I had started like 3 other businesses as side gigs. Um, and it was at that point where I'm like, no, 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 I'm going all in, and I'm going to follow a process and start building a team and start trusting other people and let going some of these behaviors and habits that have actually kept me stuck. I had to be willing to be courageous to let go of that stuff in order to elevate. So I grew my volume like 20 million, 40 million, 80 million, 130 million, whatever. And then I realized that I loved coaching. Like within 1 year of being in the program, I was asked to be a coach. I love learn. You and I are the same. We are geeks for like figuring stuff out. Every time you and I talk, you're like, "Ooh, let me teach you this. Let me tell you that. Let me tell you the shoelace story. Let me tell
yeah.
you." I love you're, and you've been such a catalyst to me, Chris, and
Mhm,
the people you've introduced me to, the way of thinking that you are, the way you've shown up in my life, and it's just been phenomenal. So fast forward, I build a bunch of branches at Gill Mortgage. We have a $1 billion team. And then I hit that place of burnout once again, like doing way too many things, totally overwhelmed, had a couple babies, built a house, grew as fast as humanly possible, and was like, I'm ready for the next thing. What do I need to quit in order to elevate? And I needed to leave a toxic culture of that coaching program. I needed to have faith in my intuition and what I really wanted.
mhm.
And I had to have the courage to go for it. And that's when I moved to Spain, and we lived there for 3 years. And I remember that during that period of time, you were on this like hyperbolic growth trajectory, and you'd call me all fired up, and I'd be like, Chris, I don't want to talk about I don't want to talk about growth. Like I just want to be, and I just wanted to, explore spirituality. I mean, meanwhile, my business is doing like $1.6 billion of business. So it's not like I wasn't like in the game. Um, but I think that's how things go. Like there's ebbs and flows. There's parts where you feel blah and stuck. And then there's parts where you ignite yourself on fire, and then it feels fun and it feels fresh. And that's where I feel back completely on fire, having fun, leading my team. I just launched a coaching program. Actually, today's the first call. And yeah, and we're in a good place. I just got back from 4 weeks from Europe 2 nights ago. I think you and I talked last when I was in Europe.
Whew, that's a lot of stuff. You know what I love about you? You have the ability of making somebody feel like they're the only one. And
Oh,
I've watched you all throughout all the years. I've told my loan officers, which, by the way, if you ever want to ask, Shayla and I will compete branches against each other all the time, just for fun, and we just love to hackle each other because competing is in our blood. And sometimes we're like, I don't still want to compete right now, or sometimes let's compete, let's do it, and we do have some fun with it. But
well, have I ever beat you? I don't think
I
so.
think so.
I don't know. I know that, yeah, we've done branch or branch competition. You've coached my loan officers. I've come out to South Dakota and met your
Oh,
team. Like, it's been a while though, pal. I've been thinking I want to look at concerts in South Dakota again. And
right. It's
you know,
probably
my
easier for me to come to you for concerts,
yeah, but
but
my younger daughter now is 10. And
yeah,
so remember when we went and saw Thomas Rhett
yeah.
in Sioux Falls together, and you totally spoiled us. Like Gemma still talks about that, Chris. I mean, Shalice just brought her in and like painted
Mm,
her nails and took her to the candy store. And oh my God. She was 8. She was
she was 8?
8. I have to text you a picture because she's now 13, but Gemma's like never been 8. You know, like even at 13, people think she's like 17. But now my little is 10. Like Gwen's 10. So I need to
We
get her on
need
a
to do
plane.
it.
We need to go get
Concert.
a yeah, we need to go see a concert.
So we were sitting by the pool, and Shaya says, "Have you done the Strengths Finders test?"
Yeah.
And I go, "No, what's that?" That's usually how I have to answer. No, what's that? And she goes, "Well, take it." I'm like, "Now?" And so I take it at the pool, only to find out that empathy was my lowest one. And Shalice still reminds me of that. But what was really cool where I go with that was um, you really did a good job of, I would call it a hack, which was, I'll let you explain it. You put something in your phone so that you knew when they answered, it reminded you of this. Tell them what you did to make your engagement even better.
Yeah, so I'm gonna look and see if I still have yours. I've since had a bunch of new phones and had issues. Yeah, I still have 2 of your strengths, competition and significance, in my phone. And I've got your birthday. Is it June 14th?
Yeah, good old
So,
flag.
yeah, in the contact under notes, I have the strengths of my people. In fact, on a bulletin board right outside my door, I have pictures of my entire team and their strengths. Um, because
Why
what I
did you do
found,
that?
why did I do it? Yeah. So the Strength Finder came to me in 2018, and that was kind of like the peak of burnout. Gemma was 7, Gwen was 4.
Mm,
We've been through a bunch of personal and family stuff that had been hard and challenging. My
mm.
business had just really grown fast at this point. Um, and we were struggling as parents for sure. This is the least natural thing for Galen and I to do. And and I was in we were on a trip. We were in Vietnam, and I met a gal who's a consultant, and she works with exceptional kids, twice exceptional, which could mean like they're really, really brilliant in areas, and then they're really, really underperforming in others. And anyway, she's a fascinating chick, and coaches and does all this stuff. And she goes, sounds like you and your husband need to work from your strengths.
Hmm.
I was like, duh, like,
Yeah.
because we were in a place of struggle and strife and kind of pointing out all the things that we weren't doing, which is so human. That's the gap again. We're pointing out all the ways, I talk to people every day, and Chris, you're one of those people, but you're always like, yeah, but I need to do that one more thing to gain approval from someone else. And your maturity and growth and the time that I've coached you and we've been friends and you've coached for me is that you've worked really hard on not finding your validation externally and thinking I've got to do that one more thing to find love, which is only something I can identify and see because it's my habits and behavior too.
Mhm.
And when I was struggling, it was like, wow, I was really pointing fingers. I was really going, well, Galen does that. He doesn't do this. And this is why the kids are like that. And then I'm bashing myself and shaming myself. Well, if I didn't work so much and if I could just whatever, then that would be the thing. And she said, well, let's approach this from your strengths. What are your strengths?
Mm.
And I was like, oh my gosh. So she assigned Gail and I to both take a strength finder with Gallup. It's literally $40. There's 34 strengths, and they rank them in like the prevalence of how they show up for you. Because the reality is we all have all the strengths. Like Chris, you do have empathy. It's low for me as well. I have to flex the muscle to really work on it.
Yes.
Others, like Galen, it's his number one strength is empathy. And
I
so
didn't
for
know that.
him, it's crazy. It's like being able to breathe, but he's also at times denied the strength because every strength can be, on the pendulum of overstretched or overused or exhausted, right?
Mhm.
Um, and I could go there in a minute, but it's very natural when you get the strength finder results to go to the bottom. And that's
Yeah.
exactly what you did. I'm sure you looked at the top, you're like, yeah, 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 whatever. And boom, you go to the bottom to see, well, like, what are my weaknesses?
Right.
And so her assignment to us was not only do it, which was eye-opening and inspiring and empowering, but also in the next 2 weeks, I want you to look for examples of how Galen uses his strengths.
Hmm.
And he needs to look for examples of how you use your strengths. And so I'm like, okay, this woman's a genius. And so the reason I put it in my phone with all of my loan officers is because, people call you and I for coaching, for strategy, for like, oh, this is frustrating me, or I'm here and I'm stuck and I want to get there, and whatever the case is. And I just need to look at their strengths and remind them, like, just put the mirror up and remind them, like, you have competition to rely on. That's something that's right here in your tool belt that is effortless for you to tap into as an energy source, as a resource to go, now you want to go be a better husband. How can you use competition to do that?
Hmm.
Okay. Not in the traditional sense, but in your way, in a way that is like, that it speaks to you like only it could speak to you. You want to create a new process in your business, and I know you're obsessed with this stuff, Chris, because you're obsessed with like, how do I continue to innovate and be better and help people succeed more and perfect the process? Like, you're obsessed with, you've never stopped being totally focused on that in your business, and people know it and they feel it and they feel safe with your leadership because you're just doing that. Well, you could use significance as a strength to guide you in that project, because what you
Yeah.
want to do is something that's significant and that's special and that's really meaningful, not bullshit, not shiny, but like, this is really going to make a huge difference in your business. So that's the point of the strength finder. And for me to be able to remind people, you're going to approach every challenge or every frustration or every win in your own unique way, which is why so many people want the answer. Like, Shayla,
Mm.
just give me the script, give me the strategy. And I will tell you the way I've adapted it for me. But the reality is that you need to look yourself in the mirror and go, I'm strong and I'm unique and I am one of one. And I have to really hone in on what are my unique abilities. Like, Chris, I remember like some key growth moments for you where you were just leaping, but when you really stopped trying to do things to impress other people. Your
Mm.
public speaking changed, your interactions with people changed. There was an authenticity there because you got out of Chris performance guy and into like Chris the real guy. And guys, I think that's where we make the biggest leaps and transformations in our life, is when we actually look ourselves in the mirror and say, you know what? This is who I am. And
Mm.
how do I utilize this to show up powerfully, to serve others, and to get what I want? That's the
Right.
whole thing.
Yeah, I think homework, guys, is I was watching. I don't know if you watch TV. I don't even know if you
I
watch TV.
don't.
Okay, okay. So I'm watching this Netflix deal, and I thought it was just going to be a joke. It was Selling Manhattan. It's
Okay.
right, and I just love that realtor, and I just think he's an amazing leader.
Is this
And he
Ryan
says,
Serhant?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, he's phenomenal. Yeah.
yeah. Oh. And so I'm just a fan anyway. So I'm like, I'm gonna watch. And there's a little bit of drama. I fast forward as fast as I could through the girl drama, but he said something to me. What, I've got to do a better job of dating, and he says this to his top agents. And I've said this to my loan officers and my account executives. I've got to date you better.
Yeah.
And as a loan officer, we've got to be dating our team. We got to be dating our referral partners. We got to be dating our database. Like, we got to be dating better. And by encouraging your loan officers and your top referral partners to do this strength finder, it's a better way for us to date. Because if we know their strengths, I can date you better. And if I know Shalice's strengths and I know where she's really strong and she's down and out, I can encourage her better. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking, I got to go back and do this because I've dropped the ball on this. But I'm gonna tell you something. Everything that Shayla just said, I want to say this. I could give you a million topics. I can give you some tactics. She can give you thousands of things to go do. But until they fix this little noggin, which is where she helped me the most, is you won't go do it or you will do it terrible. Do you agree?
Yeah, no, it's 100%. These are the fundamental and foundational things of a top performing person, because anybody can have a burst of motivation or a burst of success, but if you start looking at how you define success, and for me, it's really sustained success. Like Chris, when I visit your team and the loyalty and the enthusiasm they have, that's success to me. But then the longevity of how long people have been with you means that you've continued to date them, you've continued to care about them, you continue to show up. And you know, a one hit wonder is not impressive, right? It's so that it's that constant well and resource that gives us the longevity to keep leveling up. Because the truth is like most of us are today are living the dream life that we dreamed of 10 or 15 years ago. Like who we're hanging out with, the opportunities that we have, and often we're like, yeah, but where am I going? You know, I don't feel on fire. I feel stale. I feel stuck. And, you know, you're maybe walking around with a beautiful spouse and healthy children. And like, you know, you get out to go out on the boat every now and then. Like those are things that when you were 18, 21, 24, 28, you were dreaming of doing. But the point is like, doesn't matter. How do you then level up again? How do you transform again? What is it now that you really, really, really want? And that's the stuff that I've been obsessed and tapping into a lot, Chris, because, you know, in the beginning, I was fueled by I had something to prove. Well, first of all, I was just broke. I had to make money to feed myself, right? So that
Yeah.
was it. That was only one simple motivation, and it's the easiest when you just have to go do something. And then it was like I have a chip on my shoulder. I have something to prove
Mhm.
because I'm a blonde chick, because I'm a college dropout, because I quit network marketing. I had to have the courage to start it, and then I had to have the courage to quit it. And then I was in the core, and now I'm like, okay, well, if he could do it, I can do it. So I'm competing there. And then I had to have the courage to quit the core, which
Mhm.
people are like, oh my gosh, how do you do that? Right. And then I had to have, so you, this stuff keeps on going. Um, but you know, what I find is that most people, if I say, what do you really want?
Mhm.
They don't know. Like I, as a coach, you as a coach, I can't coach you unless I know what you really, really want. And like when you were starting Windsor and you had this vision and you had this creation, there was a very few people who thought that was a good idea. There's
Right.
very because it was so outside of the mold. And like Chris, just do what they were. In fact, you almost are kicked out of the program because you didn't look like everyone else, because you didn't originate. Like you were the best non-producing manager that anyone's ever seen, from
Mhm.
culture, innovation, ideas, production. Like seriously, I dare anyone to go compete with you and your team, Chris. Like just it's incredible.
Mhm.
Um, but you had this like this desire that you really wanted, and fortunately, we came into each other's lives at the right time because I just kept asking the question, well, what do you really, really want? What does this really, really look like? And you've been on that constant exploration, and you've gotten in the world, and you asked the people, and you've just really leaned in. You didn't know how the hell you were going to build it,
Mhm.
yeah, but you had the courage to start. Um,
So if I'm a loan officer, Shay,
yeah.
I'm defeated. I'm not figuring out what winning looks like. I might not even know what I want other than survival, and I want to freaking make a little bit of money. I want to stop bleeding into my savings and start being able to put into savings. Like I feel like there's a lot of loan officers right now stuck. I mean, I do think there's a lot of loan officers that need you. And I think there's a lot of loan officers that are stuck. What would you say? They're listening to this right now and they're like, I'm
Well,
stuck.
yeah, that's exactly it. And let's talk about our realtors, because we are the leaders to realtors. So if we're stuck, if we're not on fire, what are we doing? Like we're if we're building a business that is a true business, that you are highly referred, that you have accounts, that you have people that are feeding into your business, that you don't start over every single month at zero, one transaction at a time, then you're leading other people. So it is crucial to figure yourself out quickly how to get unstuck, and then be the light, be the beacon, share the experiences, the podcast, the interviews like this that help other people become unstuck, right? So this is the key question. So there's two things I do as a coach, Chris. There's just straight up strategy.
Right.
And then there's the other one, which is like, let me help you figure yourself out first, right? And sometimes we just need to go into strategy. Like I have to close 10 loans over the next 3 months because I'm negative on my draw. I've got this big bill for private school coming up, whatever the hell the thing is, right? And so
Right.
it's like, okay, we have an SOS, we have a 90-day strategy. Like, let's sit down and just really geek out on this and do it. And those are really fun. So maybe we could play around 2 scenarios. What I'm doing in Catalyst, the new program that I'm starting, and all of you are invited to come see it, to come join. Is that I'm actually creating a culture, a petri dish, an environment where I hold people accountable so that when you're over here getting motivated, inspired at some online seminar or YouTube video or interview, or you've read the book, like this is the most fabulous book period at the moment for me. It's
So you're
one thing to
reading
go,
10x is easier than 2x?
have you read this?
No, I'm going to read it now because you've called me out.
Dude, well, you're just going to join Catalyst, Chris, because you and I are going to geek out on this stuff. We're probably going to start talking every single flipping day because this is what you and I are all about.
Yeah.
Let me just pause. Can I just do a quick 10x, like kind of
Yeah,
talk
do
about
it,
the
do it,
concept?
do it, do it, do it.
So 10x is easier than 2x is actually one of the most misunderstood concepts. It's, I think Grant Cardone has made this whole 10x thing, and there's people think 10x, you automatically think, well, if I make 100,000, it means I'm making $1 million. Okay, that's one way, but that's a quantitative measurement. That's just
Right.
quantitative. What 10x is really about is a qualitative adjustment, meaning a huge quality upgrade in your freedom, right? So what would a 10x of your time freedom look like, Chris? If you
Mm.
really sat down with it and go, what kind of time freedom have I created now because of the systems and structure in my business, because of the team that I've built? I've got these fabulous leaders running different departments. You have freedom today of mental space, to have creativity, of just time space freedom because of things that you've built along the way, certain masteries and skill sets and all the efforts and the prospecting that you've built. But there's always more freedom to go get. What is a 10x freedom of your relationships?
Yeah.
The people that you're around. Like Gail and I have been thinking about, like, what is a 10x on our marriage? How does Gemma 10x? What, and then going back in life and going, where else have I 10x? I mean, Chris, you started your own company. Then you sold it. That was a 10x jump. And
Right.
then you ran it and became the best there ever was as a non-producer in terms of production for people, culture, energy, profitability, like all the metrics. And then you're still like, what's next? And
Right.
then you 10x again when you became a producer, and like when 6 months went from 0 to 25 loans a month. And then you 10x again when you started Windsor. And then you've had several 10x's inside of just Windsor because you had one way that you thought you were going to build it with your
Right.
TPOs and your banks. And then you've expanded to A's. You get the point, right?
Right.
But the problem is that most of us, Chris,
Mm.
do exactly what you said, which is I need to make a little bit more money. I need to grow by like 20%. I need to like double my volume. Those are 2x goals. The problem with 2x is oftentimes it keeps us in a state of need versus want.
Hmm.
Need is scarcity oriented. You go to the bar and say, I need a date. I need you to help me carry the groceries. I need to go to sleep earlier tonight. I need 3 more realtors. I need 10 more deals. It doesn't feel good to anybody,
No.
right? And need is this, that's what 2x gets us in. And we get stuck in going, okay, well, if I want to grow by 20%, I just need to do more of what I'm doing. So I was in a 2x frame for a long time, which is like, okay, I just need to get, 10% more time efficient. I need to do 10% more time blocking. I need to do, instead of 20 realtor calls, I need to do 25 more calls instead. That's all quantitative.
Right.
And you and I both know coaching people. If I look at people's win by noon planner or their greatness tracker or their call logs, it is qualitative that gets the 10x jump versus quantitative. It is the person that shows up to the meeting. It is the energy that's brought to the call. Those are qualitative shifts. That's setting a goal so big that it forces us to transform in the process. Because literally to go from $100,000 a year
Mhm.
to $1 million a year, you literally can only focus on the 20% that actually produces 80% of the results. And you have to be focused on what you want because you want it and you want it and you want it, which is abundant. It's creation. You are going, I want $1 million a year because I just want it. I want to be special in this industry just because it matters to me. I don't have to justify it. I don't have to explain it, but it's that fire in our belly that says, this is what I freaking want. And I'm going to go do it. Right. So in reading this, it stretched the shit out of me because I'm like, okay, I've had all these 10x sleeps. It's not about the money for me, but freedom is money, it's time, it's relationships, and it's also purpose.
Hmm.
So like this last month, I took a whole month off and went to Europe, which again was something that I dreamed of like 10 years ago, a month in Europe with my kids and my family. And we went to Greece
Mhm.
and Spain and did Taylor Swift to Amsterdam at last minute and la, 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 like, holy shit. Like that was a 10x thing. But like what I then had to peel back is to say, what is my unique ability? And what is the 20% that I have to hold on to? But more importantly, what is the 80% I need to let go of? I need to let go of being a control freak. I need to let go of doing everything and not delegating. I need to let go of like old job roles. I need to empower. I need to, like, I remember when you hired a sales manager and you're like, I hired someone that is me. And it was scary as hell because we're like, am I abandoning people? Am
Mhm.
I right?
Mm.
My first assistant I hired was like, how is anybody going to trust them? Like, they're going to feel like I passed them off. They're going to feel
Right.
like they're not important to me anymore. Well, in order to go from 20 million to 40 million, you got to let go of some stuff. And you have to evolve and transform as a leader to the person that has the confidence and capability of that 10x vision.
Yeah.
So this book is about expanding your vision. It's about raising your standards. Like, what is a hell yes and what is a no? Because Chris,
Mm.
as you've built what you've built, you've had to say no to more things than ever before, right?
True.
Because there was a time where Chris said yes to everything.
Absolutely.
and, and then second is like simplify the strategy. This is what you work on all the time. Simplify, 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 right?
Mhm.
Like, and then the fourth is like continually removing the noise.
Right.
So so there's two things. There's the catalyst part, which
Yeah.
hopefully this conversation is a catalyst for you to just even stop and go, what do I really, really want?
Yeah.
Whether you're 32 or 52 or 42, 62, like, what is it that I really want? We live in seasons of our lives. What is the thing that turns me on, that lights me on fire? What do I want in my fitness? What do I want in my impact? What do I want in my relationships? What do I want in my enlightenment? Like, what is it? Right. And then how do I figure out what my unique ability is?
Yeah.
And the Strength Finder helps bringing that all the way back. So if you were to tell me, Chris, like, I want to do 5 billion a month in production, and you don't have to say why. I just want it because I want it. Right.
Mhm.
And so many people go, well, why? I don't know. If it's something that turns you freaking on, do it. Like that. It's life as a creation. Just go flipping do it. We're so worried about this. Is it an appropriate goal or what have you? So you go, okay, I want to do 5 billion a month in production. You go, well, I currently don't have the capability to do that. I don't have the team. I'm not probably a good enough leader to run something of that size yet. I don't have the confidence either because I could be stuck down here going, well, I'm doing 1 billion a month and I'm going, this is really, really, really hard.
Yeah.
But you would then go, yeah, but if I were to go to 5 billion a month, what would be the things I must do? The few things, less, because 10xing is actually about doing less, but it's about doing the right things.
Right.
So
It's good.
what are those things? And what is the stuff I have to let go of that I think are making a difference in the business, but they're not,
Yeah.
right? And so that's kind of the process. And so that's what Catalyst is for me. Catalyst is saying, how do I help people live a rad life?
Yeah.
How do I help people get on fire? You and I have done so much coaching and personal development work. I think that our success is capped at the level of our personal development,
Yeah.
period.
Yeah.
And most people will get into personal development, like they'll read a book, but then they go right back and they don't have the support of the accountability or a group around them to
Mhm.
truly transform. Because if you're the only one in your circle in your city that reads a book like this, for example, and you're in your branch and you're hanging around a bunch of average knuckleheads that like want to leave at 2 o'clock every day, it's really, really tough to do that. So for me, Catalyst is first helping people to find what they truly, truly want and
Yeah.
putting you through a process and exercise. Second, creating a group of people around you that are like, I'm allergic to being stagnant. I want what I want because I want, and let's freaking go. Let's go do shit. These are
Right.
people that are already successful. They've already accomplished visions at different stages of their life they never thought they would. And now it's like, what's fun for me now? Right.
Yeah.
Um, and then it's accountability. So every single week, it's accountability. And then just teaching simple things like, do you sit down every Sunday and look at your whole week and look at your calendar? Do you have annual goals written that come into quarterly goals that come into your weekly top 3? Do you know the top 3 things that have to get done this week? That if you stack those top 3 wins every week, they totally align with the annual goal, right? Whatever that is. You want to drop your body fat 10%? Great. You want to pay off your parents' house? Great. You want to double your volume? Great. It's just a process of how you transform and achieve huge, massive goals. Which is why I love that you do this, because you're so good at this. And like, you are truly a guy that's continually 10xing. And then you become a transformational leader, Chris. That's what you are. That's what I'd like to help everybody come, is not just be successful, but
Yeah.
become a change maker. Like, grab life by the horns, say, what is it that I really want? Have a process for living your life, your habits, your vibe, your mindset, your little process with your time. Um, and then eventually become a transformational leader. Because a transformational leader is somebody that's got that attractive vision in life that other people are like, damn, you're doing that? Like Brett Baird is running his 4th marathon. He's training for Berlin. And he spoke at my retreat. And he, anyway, I have so many jokes to tell about this, but I literally went to Brett. I'm like, Brett, I've watched you in front of my eyes transform your life.
Mm.
And first it started with 75 hard. And
Yeah.
then after 75 hard, you did it again because you were like, I'm afraid to lose what I've built. And then you decided to do marathons, and not just a marathon, but you're doing the majors. And now, and like that, and now, like, guess what? His business, he got up to 40 million a month in production, then lost his major builder like overnight, that brought him down to basically zero all over again. And now he's back doing first time homebuyer seminars. He's more on fire. He has more purpose and energy. I think this month he's closing like $8 million in volume, having a blast doing it, training his 10 miles in marathons. And he's a transformational leader in that he's sharing this vision and doing it. And
Yeah.
now I'm freaking doing 75 hard because I'm being transformed by Brett, because Brett inspired Andy and Andy inspired me. And so anyway, that's what Catalyst is about. And I think that strategy comes out of that. So I don't know if you want to break that down at all, or if we
No,
want to
no.
move
I
on
want
to
what I really want, as we got 10 minutes ish, is that I want people to. I mean, I think that we've talked about Catalyst, but like if I want to join Catalyst, what does that look like? First, I go to catalyst.com.
Nope.
Okay.
What's so funny is I created this coaching program because I've been doing loan officer retreats. I do one in May and I do one in November. So if any of you follow me on Instagram at Shay Giff, you could start following along and paying attention. I think my retreats and stuff will be on ShaylaGifford.com.
Okay.
But Catalyst just was born, Chris, because in May I had my second retreat that invited outside guests. Anybody from any company can come. And the difference is the people that had me in their lives with accountability and coaching, my employees, between November and May, versus the ones that I sent them back into the woods, back into their own little cultures, and didn't have accountability, didn't have the group, they didn't make the progress. And so I said, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to start one. And so that's where Catalyst came from. So I don't have a website. I'm not all fancy about that, but I have an online portal built through
Okay.
Mighty Networks. And I'll give you the link. I should have had that dialed in. I don't even know. I don't think we could do it on StreamYard, but I'll share it with your team and you can put it in the show notes or however
Yep.
you guys do that.
I'll put it. I'll get it in
Um,
the comments.
yeah.
If you
So
do,
it's
you know what it is? Could you just say it? Because the team will put it on right now.
uh,
If you
it
don't, we'll just put it
is
later.
honestly, it's like it's if you go to Mighty Networks, because this is where everything's built on. You can download the app for Mighty Networks in the App Store, and then you could search Catalyst. Okay, and
Or they could just go and DM you at Shay Giff.
just DM me. Yes,
Just
just DM me
DM
or
you.
go on my profile page and there's a link to Catalyst there.
There you go.
Point number 2, go buy a website and get going, which I will. It starts today. Literally, it starts today.
Hey, everybody, this is
So
exciting. Like you could get in the very beginning of amazing, a really, really cool program. And I know you're on fire to change people's lives. Like if you want your life
thank you.
changed, you go with Shay. She changed mine. She changed mine. She's challenged me. She's told me you're not real right now. Uh, you're being fake. I need the real Chris. Like she said things to me in my life that I've never forgot. I remember the time that you're like, Chris, friend, you've got to plan your calendar out a little bit further than the next day. And I go, well, like, how long do you plan your calendar out for? A year. A year? A year? And you planned it out. You had everything mapped out. You're like, look, here it is. And I go, oh my gosh, I have anxiety right now. There's just no way I could do that. But like you made me thinking, like, I go, well, I could do a month. And then all of a sudden it was 60 days. And then all of a sudden it's 90 days. I'm like, I'm getting somewhere here. But like it's these things that made big difference in all those little things that I feel like if you want to change your career and your life, you got to go with Shay.
Oh, that's
And
so
this
sweet.
program, I remember you do have a. I didn't get to go to May, but I hope I get to go to November to your retreat because all I keep hearing is you killed it in your retreat.
Thank you. Thank you. It's I really feel totally aligned with my purpose. If all the years of studying, like I just look at myself as a petri dish. You and I are the same like this. You and I develop a theory about unlocking someone's potential or about helping them double or helping them be the most powerful versions of themselves. And then we play with it and we coach to it and we study and we go, oh, that worked. Like, let me help other people do it. It's our life's work and I love it. And I'm so pumped. And so the last thing I'll say about Catalyst, because you just gave me a great commercial, I really couldn't appreciate it more, but it's $300 a month. So I'm not,
It's affordable.
yeah, I currently pay a coach $2,000 a week for 20 minutes of coaching. What I wanted to do is not give people an excuse to invest in themselves. And I really want to build a container for people who are really going through like wanting this transformation and kicking ass. And I think our industry really needs it. But I'm opening it to it doesn't have to be loan officers. There's a call every Tuesday for 45 minutes that's recorded and put in the portal. There's the community feed where we're sharing and I'm challenging you and I'm polling. And, just like the Brett Baird story, you see someone else doing their courageous thing, somebody else living in their unique ability, somebody else going for their 10X. It gives you constantly the like, well, what am I doing? It challenges us in a super healthy way. And then every week I'm asking you to do the accountability and I'm reading your responses. And I will see week over week if you're feeling like, you're living in chaos or you're feeling overwhelmed or you're sloppy, you don't have a top 3 identified, then all the lessons and coaching. And I'm also doing laser coaching on those Tuesday calls where you could literally say, Chris, Shayla, I need to close 12 loans in the next 90 days. Help me. I had a loan officer text me yesterday and said, I need more realtors to pick up the phone when I'm doing cold calls. Help me. And so, then I'm like, okay, let's get strategic on this. How many loans have you closed in the last 12 months? Who did you close them with? How many realtors have repeatedly referred you? Why do they love you? What is the memorable thing that you do to their business that you're a crucial part of what they do? What do they say about you? Like, what problems do they have in their business? What problems do these people have in their business? What are the questions that you're asking? What are the stories that you're telling? How could we take your strengths and take this success with the problems that they have and put it together? And it's a discovery process because I can't just say this. Like the people on Instagram that are like, I have the solution because we're going into an election year and everything like that is bullshit. Like,
You're right.
no, let's customize to you and what is actually working for you. And then let's also get freaking honest, because we need to all stop lying to ourselves.
Right.
Like, that's the key thing. Just stop lying to yourself. Like, look in the mirror. Am I really showing up? If it were me or somebody else sitting at the table with a realtor, would I pick me?
Mhm.
And if not, why? It's probably two tiny shifts, but we're avoiding it and getting into like, oh, but I need that one magic thing. No, you need to stop lying to yourself. You need to
Yep.
tighten up these two things. You need to start trusting yourself. Give me a month of holding you accountable to that. Your whole life will change. You'll start getting success. You'll start feeling better. You'll have the confidence. You'll have more courage. Right? You and I both know that is how that goes. So anyway, I'm a little fired up about it, and yeah, go find Catalyst. And I would say that anybody that joins I may have a cutoff because I want to have this initial founding group of people that go through these
Yeah.
exercises.
You're
The
going to cap
first, yeah, the first 8 weeks is really going to be on this. What is it that you want? What is your vision? Looking back in your life, where else have you had 10x? What freedoms do you want? I mean, I'm really going to stretch and challenge and gain the engagement here. And then we're going to do an execution sprint. So for 30 days straight, I'm going to have everybody focused for 15 minutes a day on an execution sprint. And then I'm going to put you through another series of exercises, and then we'll do another execution sprint. So I have a plan detailed to get us through the end of the year, which for right now is, I think, the most crucial time in mortgage, because it's the mentally strong and the ones that stay on fire that are going to have just this catapult massive success that doesn't seem fair. Like, you're going to have an unfair advantage because other people are tired. They're like dead on the track. They're panting. And you're like picking up speed and momentum and strength and power. And, anyway, that's that. I think timing is super, super relevant. And same for realtors. I mean, the realtors that really can keep a mental positive story, because it's all about your story. Like, what story are you framing everything with? And so that's all the stuff that we're working on, Chris.
Plus, if you did this with a realtor, like, look what that relationship would build.
Yeah.
I mean, nuts. Listen, you would be crazy not to be able to get in connected with Shay at Shay Giff, be able to check out Catalyst. I will promise you, she will make a difference in your life, both personally and at work. And she will challenge you. But that's what makes a difference. Like I told the loan officer the other day, I just wish you'd get mad. Because if you got mad, we could go somewhere. But until you get mad, you're gonna sit right there. And
Yep.
and then I walked away. I'm like, wait a minute, did I say that right? Or maybe I could have said that a little bit more polished. But uh he
Well,
came back.
listen, two things. You're going to have a catalyst one way or another, period.
Right.
Because life is never static, ever, 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 ever. You're either growing or dying. You're building muscle or gaining fat. That's always nothing static. So I believe the two catalysts are either positive or negative. So the negative catalyst is, I'm now broke. I'm now taking out a second mortgage. I'm now ashamed of my family. I'm now canceling vacations. I'm now taking my kids out of private school. I'm now pain, 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 pain. Like, how much pain has to stack up before you get freaking pissed? You stop lying to yourself and you go for it. That's option A. And let me tell you, you and I have had many, 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 many
Yeah.
catalysts from pain. And I'm grateful for all of them just the same. Okay. I'd prefer not to go there. I'd prefer to not be in pain mentally or physically and be burnt out and be a shit mom and have shame and all the stuff that I've done to change. But sometimes your catalyst has to come from pain. The other way you find your catalyst is from finding people like Chris, from finding programs like Catalyst, from finding, like jumping into something and saying, this is going to be a catalyst, and then doing the positive work. What do I really, really want? Where do I want to go? Finding that inspiration and that fire and going that way. But it's going to happen one way or the other. You just always have control to pick the positive one. And there's a resource right in front of you. The question is, are you going to take it?
Right. That's right. Thank you, Shay.
Thank
This
you.
was so fun.
Thank you. Are people live, or is this all recorded?
It's recorded and live. I have no idea because I love seeing people's faces, and you
I
don't get to see
know.
people's faces. It just like get the energy off of everybody. I hope I could change that someday. But hey, listen,
Hold
share
on,
this with your friends.
I gotta take a picture of us, Chris, because this is
All
my
right.
moment. Hi.
See
Okay,
you
cool.
later. Thanks, Shay. Appreciate
Thank
you.
you.
Go
Thanks,
to
everyone.
Shay Giff and join Catalyst.